I don't see Trisha as going into any situation going, wow, I'm going to be really, I'm really going to push the boundaries here. It's more that she approaches every situation from really the two really strong parts of herself: the dancer, the risk-taking physical body that she is, and thinker, and also the visual artist, and looking at every space as if it's being seen for the first time, and having, again, this innate curiosity and playfulness of how do I want to explore this space? What do I want to expose about this space that isn't normally addressed? So she brings that to the site-specific work. She brings it to the proscenium stage. She's always looking at something in a fresh way and surprising us by showing aspects of it that we wouldn't normally see, by the orientation of the bodies in the space, the lighting, the set design, her collaborations. I think it's just that freshness with which she approaches everything. I started as a dancer. I was 21 years old. It was the first job I ever got. Kind of lucked out with that. 4 years into my dancing with Trisha, she asked me to become rehearsal director. It was the first time she'd ever asked anyone to be a rehearsal director, and said, let's just see how it goes. It went well, so I would continue to perform, create work with her, and direct the choreography. And the combination of those two jobs has continued to evolve and stretch me, which is why I'm still here doing it and loving it. Now with my colleague, Carolyn Lucas, I'm Associate Artistic Director, the two of us working together closely to continue the company into the future. I came into the company with a lot of experience improvising in college and continue to work in that realm. Improvisation is a really big component of Trisha's process in the creation of work. Not so present in the final product, although it is used in some choreographies in performance. A very, very big part of the process. It is a way for a dancer to practice really thinking on your feet. I mean, that would be the simplest way of putting it, and a way of making decisions, working with what's happening in the moment, and being very present, and using the intelligence of your body to solve problems. Improvisation in Trisha's work is not a free-for-all. It is very structured. It's very thought through in advance of the improvisation process. So you go into improvising with a clear intention, but then the actual improvisation itself is very open, therefore full of creative options that you wouldn't otherwise arrive at. I think one other aspect of it that I think is important for all dancers who are doing very structured choreographies is that you're repeating a form, you're doing the same thing. How does it not get old? As a performer, how do you stay interested and curious and turned on by what it is you're doing, and therefore bringing the audience with you? And having the experience of improvising, I think, trains a dancer to be able to do that. It's really been exciting to finally get here after all of the thinking and working together with the different organizations here, the Hammer, UCLA, CAP, the Getty, Broad Art Center. Everyone has been wonderful to work with, and now we're finally here making it happen. To be able to show the full gamut of Trisha's site-specific and proscenium work in one location, basically, in one city. We don't get to do that very often. And I think that organizing principle in terms of, okay, how do we put things together? What makes the most beautiful program? Everything has some connection, but really, what are the connections that are the most interesting? We have our own internal process for doing that all the time with developing programs. but also working closely with Christy Edmonds. She had, I think, a lot to say about it, and we welcomed her opinions. You know, she's a lot of why we're here. It was really a pleasure to work the programming out with her. She knows Trisha's work intimately. It's not as often as I would like that we have that kind of dialogue with the presenter. Floor of the Forest was created in 1970. It's one of Trisha's equipment pieces, and it's a choreography that takes everyday activity of dressing and undressing and puts it in a perpendicular relationship to gravity. In doing so, there's a new composition that's very interesting.
So the first time we did it, I guess we started our rehearsal process on Wednesday, and it was nerve-wracking seeing the apparatus and trying to figure out, first of all, how to get up onto it. It's been really great. It's a lot of fun. It's sort of reminiscent of being a kid again. And there's also something incredibly exhausting about the work. For all that it is very lighthearted and joyful in a way, there's also a lot of physical exertion that comes from trying to figure out how to maneuver across the ropes and into clothing and then back out and across the ropes again.
My hope is that by giving them this experience of working in the realm of doing task-oriented movement, trusting that the simple structure of the choreography, which is to dress and undress their way through this structure, will generate interesting compositions.
It's a lot of trial and error. Diane didn't want to tell us too much going into it, and she just wanted it to be very experiential. So it was kind of like a kid in a candy shop. Like, you just hoist yourself up there, and I just like dove in, and as soon as I was like inside the structure, it was just like luscious getting into each item of clothing and sort of feeling what the different fabrics felt like and what it felt like to be sort of suspended on top of the ground and have like the whole museum space to look at and engage with. So it's really just more, and like sometimes clothes rip, and so we replace the clothes, and so you have to relearn what those things are. So it's always an adventure.
They don't have to think anything up. They are improvising. Their task is to dress and undress. We talk about ways in which that can happen, that are unembellished, that really is Trisha's aesthetic. And I feel that these early works are really essential for a dancer to have that experience where everything is basically taken away, and it's just me fulfilling a task in the most matter-of-fact way I can, and trusting the concept of the choreography will deliver the composition.
I'm a PhD student, and part of my dissertation work is actually looking at Trisha Brown and her early works, so it was amazing to get a chance to actually perform one of the pieces and see what it felt like to be in that different relationship with gravity, which was what these sort of equipment pieces were about. And how do you maneuver through the pedestrian act of putting on clothes when you're horizontal? So it's been really amazing just for my sort of intellectual thinking to be in the piece, but it's also really a joy just physically to perform it.
You have to trust, and sometimes you take chances, but I feel like my ears are very, they're turned on. And so as soon as you hear a little piece of fabric rip, and actually I found sometimes when the fabric rips, it's exciting to see how long you can stay before you really feel like you need to get out of that piece of clothing. And you kind of know what clothes to stay away from. We all have fabrics we feel more comfortable in, so polyester is a little sturdier than the cotton, and etc.
It reveals a lot about the moment-to-moment choice making that a dancer has all the time, but forget that they have when they're doing really complex choreography and virtuosic choreography.
I do not map out ahead of time. I know that we inserted a pair of denim jeans that was an exciting new thing, and all I knew is that I wanted to go straight for those denim jeans, so I just dove on and went for the denim, and after that it was, you know, spontaneous and whatever I was sort of feeling at the moment. It's just fun. It feels like a jungle gym I don't think I've been on since elementary school, and it feels really good to be suspended and like know that you can trust yourself and your clothing and your ears and the other body on the structure, that there's an aspect of trust you get, and also just playfulness, and that it's fun. It's strenuous, it's really hard, I'm bruised and everything, but it's fun.
I'm sure these dancers are very, very talented and you know, can do all kinds of dancing on stage. My hope is that they take this experience into those other performance experiences and realize I have a lot of choice as to what is my intention behind this movement. I mean, that was my experience doing Trisha's work as a dancer and doing very complex choreographies, and then going back and doing early works and then going back to the complexity and realizing it just completely opened up that whole experience. And that's what I try to give the dancers within the company, and that's what I'm trying to give these dancers. A physical intelligence that can be seen in movement that is efficient. Trisha's movement vocabulary works with gravity and momentum, and works with a deep understanding of the structure of the body, the skeleton, the muscular system, you know, what is the most optimal way that I can work with what I have. So that's a body intelligence that she's looking for in her dancers. Also, big appetite for movement. You know, you can see it, you need it to do Trisha's work. It's demanding work. These dancers have been wonderful, the UCLA dancers, in that they welcome the effort that's involved, they welcome the physical challenges, they're fascinated by it, they find pleasure in it, and that's key.